Hello, fifth graders. We are back to do another read aloud from Save Me a Seat. We left off yesterday with Joe getting to school. He did ride to school with his mom, but he's still mad at her. And he got to school, and Dylan gave him a nasty note calling him stupid, basically, or having everybody in their class call him stupid. And Ravi got to school and gave Mrs. Beam some non-katais, which are Indian cookies, and she was very happy. So they had a very different start to their Wednesday. Let's find out what happens next. Chapter 19, Ravi. My day is getting better by the minute. First, Mrs. Beam had liked the non-katais. Then she was impressed when she noticed how far I had read ahead in Bud Not Buddy. Now it's time for gym class. I was junior school sports captain at Vidya Mandir last year, even though I was only in 4th grade. If American gym is anything like PE in India, then my troubles will soon be over. I looked down at my clean white shoes. Das Sir, my PE teacher in Vidya Mandir, would be pleased. Every day before class, he lined us up first and checked our shoes. They must be pure white, he would insist. Thanks to Amma and her polishing skills, mine were always white as snow. Das Sir would sit in the shade of his favorite neem tree and tell us to start with some drills, stretching exercises, jumping jacks, and 1 round of running. I always finished first, Premrod second, and Ramaswamy, the poor sod, came dead last every single time. He was slow, not only in reading, but at everything else as well, including running. Das Sir had no patience for him. Ramaswamy had such a big belly that when he tried to touch his toes, he would bend his knees, and Das Sir would give him a whack with a neem twig. We all laughed our heads off when he howled. After the drills, before we played cricket, Das Sir would send Ramaswamy off with the girls to play throw ball or tennis or coco. The gym teacher at Albert Einstein Elementary School is called Coach Victorine. He has a funny nose and no mustache, but he dresses exactly like Mr. Doss. White shirt and black tracksuit bottoms. I'm looking forward to impressing him and everyone else with my skills. Coach Victorine leads us out onto a large grass field behind the school. He has a canvas bag containing several metal bats and some large yellow balls. I've never played American baseball, but I imagine it's a lot like cricket. I feel a bit nervous, but how hard can it be? I expect we will begin with some drills and running, but instead, Coach Victorine chooses Dylan and a girl named Jasleen to be captains and tells them to pick their teams. Do the girls play too? I asked the boy standing next to me. He's the one who rides my bus, whose name is Tim or Jim or something. Yep, he says. Playing against girls is going to be easy peasy, I think. Jasleen picks first. She chooses a girl named Amy. I wave at Dylan to get his attention, then point to myself. I was first batsman at Vidya Mandir, I call out. I want him to know I won't let him down if he picks me. He chooses the boy named Robert instead. I was sure he would pick me first, but I remind myself that Dylan doesn't know anything about my athletic abilities or that I was a champion cricketer. It's Jasleen's turn to pick again. I'll take you, she says. At first, I think she's pointing at the girl standing in front of me, but instead, she has picked me. I can't believe I'm going to play my first game of American baseball on a team made up of girls. This is all Miss Frost's fault. If she hadn't made me go to the resource room yesterday, Dylan and I would have had lunch together. I would have told him about the gold cup I won last year for scoring two centuries in our final cricket game. He would have picked me first for his team today, and together we would have beaten the other team hollow. Jasleen chooses a few other boys for her team as well, so at least I'm not alone. Dylan will be surprised when he sees how well I do. I predict he will regret not picking me first. It's time to warm up, so I grab one of the bats and give it a good, hard swing. Baseball bats are quite different from cricket bats. I want to get a feel for it before the game begins. The next thing I know, Coach Victorine is screaming his head off at me. What have I done now? Chapter 20. Joe. Coach Victorine reminds me of a penguin. He has a long nose like a beak, and when he walks, he waddles. Line up, ladies and germs, he tells us. I played Little League for one season when I was 7, and I wasn't any good at it. Even with my earplugs in, all that yelling was way too much for me. Plus, I'm pretty uncoordinated. As soon as the coach figured out I couldn't hit or throw or catch a ball, I spent the rest of the season sitting on the bench eating sunflower seeds. I didn't mind. I like sunflower seeds. I don't like playing baseball, but I like to watch it on TV. My dad is a Phillies fan, but I'm into the Boston Red Sox. They are epic. In gym class, instead of baseball, we play slow pitch softball. Dylan and Jasleen Arnaudo are the best hitters, but Amy Yamaguchi has got some mad skills too. Emily Mooney isn't bad either, which is surprising because she's white as a marshmallow and so skinny her arms look like toothpicks. Jasleen picks first. I want Amy, she says. Amy Yamaguchi runs over and starts hugging her. This is baseball, girls, squawks Coach Victorine, not a slumber party. Ravi is pointing to himself, trying to get Dylan to pick him, but Jasleen picks Ravi instead. He's so shocked, he looks like he's about to pass out. Jasleen probably chose him because she feels sorry for him. Girls do junk like that. Dylan and Jasleen go back and forth picking teams until finally Henry Futterman and I are the only ones left. Henry is just as uncoordinated as I am. Plus, he plays the violin. So his mom wrote a note to Coach Victorine saying he's not allowed to climb a rope or catch a ball or anything else that might hurt his fingers. I'll take footsie, says Jasleen, pointing at Henry. So I end up in the last place on earth I want to be. Dylan's not too happy about it either. If we lose because of you, you're going to be sorry, Pud, he tells me. We start tossing the ball around a little to warm up, and all of a sudden, Coach Victorine starts yelling at Ravi. No Rex Vex, no ball, no exceptions, he says. Excuse me, says Ravi. I don't understand. You can't wear your glasses when you play ball, kid. It's a lawsuit waiting to happen. In India, I always wore my glasses when we played cricket, Ravi said. Well, in case you haven't noticed, this is New Jersey, kid. You need to go to the eye doctor and get yourself a pair of Rex Specs, like those. And he points at Henry, who's wearing a pair of prescription goggles instead of his regular glasses. Can you see without those things? Coach Victorine asks Ravi. Not very well, he says, pushing his glasses up with his thumb. Take your pick, kid. Sit on the bench or play without your glasses, says Coach. Up to you. Ravi takes off his glasses and puts them in his pocket. I'll play, he says. Our team is up first. We do okay for a while, but then the bases are loaded, I strike out, and Dylan gets ticked off. Way to blow it, Pud, he says, grabbing his glove off the bench and stomping off to the pitcher's mound. Dylan Samreen does not like to lose. Amy leads off for the other team, and she gets a hit. Emily and Jasmine get hits too. So Ravi comes up with the bases loaded. He's squinting pretty hard as he steps up to the plate, and I notice he's holding his bat funny, down low like a golf club. He swings and misses twice, but on the third pitch, he brings his bat up, catches a piece of the ball, and sends it foul. Good cut, shouts Coach Victorine. Jasleen and the rest of her team go nuts, jumping up and down and screaming for Ravi to do it again. Even from far away, I can tell Dylan is up to something. When he turns his head to the side, I see the gleam in his eye. In slow pitch, the ball is supposed to come at the batter in a nice, high arc. But Dylan winds up and pitches a fastball right at Ravi's head. Duck! I yell, but it's too late. All right, that is where we're stopping today. So, Joe and Ravi both are having a bit of a hard time in PE. Joe, because he ended up on Dylan's team and he just doesn't enjoy PE in general. Ravi, because he didn't end up on Dylan's team and he doesn't think girls are very good at PE. and he had to take his glasses off. So Ravi can't see very well, and it seems like he may have just been hit hard with a softball. Now, I want you to think about some of the cultural differences that we just noticed in these two chapters, where Ravi says that girls don't do PE in India, and he's not required to take his glasses off. But we know here that we do take our glasses off for PE because of safety. So I want you to think about that and realize that just because we don't think that's the truth, that doesn't mean that someone else might not think that's the truth. All right, stay tuned for our next read aloud to find out what happens to Ravi.